Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. A great Monday and a great Tuesday to look back on. A ton of NBA picks we have for you guys today. And we're also going to get into some of the NFL games this week. And we're going to start with the Browns headed to the Texans. A few props to get on early in the week before the value goes away. But before we do that, let's take a look back at yesterday with John. We missed this 3.5 shots on goal prop plus money, but we're still looking good overall. 6-3 night again for the team. John, let's head right into your pick as well. We're going back to the NHL, away from a player prop this time. But what do we got here today?
Yeah, yesterday, Ehlers got 0 shots on goal. So I will say if we're going to lose a prop, we want to lose it like that. I would much rather not get hooked. But today we're going to go back to a money line. We've got the Avalanche on the money line. It's minus 142 on FanDuel against the Golden Knights at home. The Avs are 7-2 in their last 9 games. The Golden Knights are 2-6 in their last 8 games. Aiden Hill is supposed to come off the IR. I almost said IL. It's almost that season. The IR for the Golden Knights. He's their top goalie, and he's been very good this season. But we really don't know how good he'll be coming off the injured list. And yeah, I think the Avs are going to be great at home. We also have value enough for an A pick in the model here. So I like the Avs minus 142.
Okay. If it's an A pick, I'm willing to play the 142 here. I like that play. All right. Any more questions for John? Feel free to reach out for him in the chat. I'm going to send him that way. Bring in Steven and Jake. Let me get rid of this for us real quick. Now, this is good to talk about early. The props are coming out early for these games, which I like. We've touched on this game and previewed a lot of them in general and what we like, but we haven't gotten into props yet. Now, you can see here we do have Houston winning, one of the few upsets we have this week. Steven, I want to talk about this game a little bit before we get into the props.
Yeah, I mean, we have a complete pick 'em, like literally 50.0% on both sides. So, but at plus money, we like Houston. So Cleveland is the road home splits are pretty staggering. They're only 3-5 straight up on the road. They allow 29.6 points per game on the road, and versus 13.9 at home. And Cleveland's point differential on the road is negative 4.6. Houston is 6-3 straight up at home, plus 5 point differential at home. They average 25 per game. And I think I've said this before that people had such a low opinion of Joe Flacco for most of his career that they are looking at his run with Cleveland, and just because he's exceeding their expectation, it doesn't mean he's been phenomenal. They haven't beaten great teams in this run. The one playoff team they play, because I don't include the Houston game that they won because Stroud and Will Anderson were out. Mm-hmm. They lost the Rams by I believe 16. So that's another reason I don't think it's realistic for Cleveland to win, 2 games in less than a month at Houston. Actually, obviously, I think that could happen at 50%, but I like the value here.
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about earlier. It's like if you're gonna take the Houston money line and then you take the Bucks money line, you're more than likely to go 1-1 at least and make some money there. So This might be one of my favorite plays of the day here. Jake, how do you feel about this game?
I've been going back and forth on this game. I don't know. It frustrates me because Houston's playing so well, and it's not supposed to be their year. It's supposed to be the Jaguars' year. So, and
give it up. No one cares.
I know, and they have a stud rookie on both sides of the ball, and it's just killing me.
Yeah.
All right. Let's leave him alone. He's still not recovered.
Sorry to bring up touchy subject. Let's get into the props. This is interesting because you're going to see that we have CJ Stroud to go under his passing yards, even though we have the Houston money line, but then you'll see why that is. So tell us why you think CJ Stroud can still hit this.
So I mean, this is a little contrary to his narrative, right? He led the league, I believe, in passing yards per game. And he had 262, I believe, against Indianapolis in what is equivalent to a playoff game. But obviously it started that 75-yard pass in his first pass to Nico Collins. So without that, he was under 200 the rest of the game. Really, I'm going on is the clear commitment to a balanced pass run attack for Houston. The last 2 weeks combined, they're right at just under 50% running. And last week, they were 50% more runs than passes, despite the fact that Devin Singletary was only averaging around 2.5 yards per carry. So they just stuck with it, if the ball control, because they know Stroud doesn't throw picks. So they just figured they can win this war of attrition. And so I think that Houston will stick with that run first option and look for Stroud to be mistake free and efficient, but not necessarily aired out.
Right. Let's move over to the guy on the ground, Devin Singletary here. We like him to go over his rushing yard total. The model makes it 78 rushing yards.
Yeah, so this dovetails to the other two picks where Cleveland's defense, one reason why they allow considerably more on the road is it's mostly on the run defense, which allows 4.7 yards per carry on the road versus just 3.6 at home. That has probably something to do with who was available and who didn't play certain games, but over a large enough sample size that it's a significant difference. I'm also going with a fading of my last week's Dameon Pierce pick. I said here that there's no way that Pierce doesn't get at least 15 to 20% of the carries, and he got 0. So when they got to have it, it doesn't matter if Singletary's running for long runs or not. As Singletary obviously can get 2.5 yards every play. That's the difference. Not everyone has to explode for long runs to be effective. At least he's moving the chains, so they're going to third and short, even if he's getting 2.5 yards on a clip. Everyone here is too young to remember O.J. Anderson for the Giants in '91 when they upset the Bills, but that guy had, I believe, 1 carry all year above 15 yards. He averaged around 3.5 yards carry for the Giants. He was basically a converted fullback. But as long as you're getting, he never had less than 2.5. He wasn't losing yardage. So I like Singletary. He's more explosive, and I like him to have 20 carries.
Wow. Okay. I like the carries there too. I want to go into the model quick, start answering some questions here. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button if you can. Helps us out a lot. Let's go to the model. Rick came in early before the show even started because he couldn't get here live, asking about some Joe Flacco situation here. Any value on the under completions or passing yards, attempts, any of it?
So let me look at his. I think we have a slight projection for the over because they've been going on this winning streak, but the Nick Chubb injury from early in the year seems to finally rearing its head now. Immediately after Chubb's injury, they actually had some really big rushing games. But I think that was because Deshaun Watson, they had, between Watson or DTR, they had a running quarterback. But since Flacco took over, you start seeing the ineffectiveness running the ball, 87, 82, 29, 3.8, 2.9, 1.6, 1.8 yards per carry. So the Chubb absence is finally rearing its ugly head. So that's why I think that they will stick with Flacco and give him plenty of attempts. And he has a better chance of getting his yards.
And they're trying to get Jerome Ford receptions, not really runs. And so when they're throwing their running backs, trying to get them in space because the running game's not been working out for them.
I'm curious about his pass completions because Joe is not completing a high percentage of passes. So passing completions, I can imagine our attempts might be value on the over, but value on the under in terms of completions. Flacco's line for completions is 23.5, and we have it right at 23.5. So we probably have no value on those two metrics.
Mm-hmm. All right, good stuff there. If anything else comes through your guys' mind, let us know in the chat. We're happy to answer them, but we're going to head over to the association here. Tons of games to go over, a lot of props between Steven and Jake today, which we love to see. We're going to start with one of the first games of the day, Trey Jones. I believe this is Jake's prop here. We're going with another under, guys. This is getting a little crazy, okay? All the unders, but last one hit, so fair.
Yeah, so Steve was saying how we need to knock up Trey Jones, his points, but his assists have been pretty steady, no matter how many minutes he plays. He's hit under 7.5 assists in his last 13 games. So I was very surprised that this line was at 7.5. And it was just weird to me. Maybe the books know something we don't know, but minus 22. So I don't know.
I don't like when it makes too much sense.
Right?
Maybe he's due. He's due, right?
He's due, but even 7.5, like he might be due for more than 6.5, but 7.5 is quite a step
crazy.
up. All right. I was confused with that.
Yeah, that's very odd. What is it on Prize Picks?
Probably 7 or maybe 7.5. I don't know. But if minus 120 is probably 7.5.
Mm-hmm. Whack. All right, let's move on to another game. Washington going to Indiana. You guys both have a prop here for Aaron Nesmith. We'll start with his rebounds here.
Yeah, I like it. We have him projected for 4.4 rebounds. And even when Halliburton has been playing, I think his over 3.5 rebounds is 3-2 in his last 5 games. So it's over 50%. and I think he'll get more rebound attempts with Haliburton out. So we have him projected for 4.4. I think this number's a little low. I'm surprised it's not set at 4.5. So I like the over here.
Yeah, I like his assists for a lot of the same reasons because you can still get plus money on over 1.5. Even with Haliburton playing the over 6-3 in his last 9 games. And Haliburton is a guy who routinely gets double-digit assists, 11, 12, on a team that scores, 128 at home. So against Washington's bad defense, Indiana's team total is still at 130. So that's still the same number of made baskets. So you've got to get close to the same number of made assists, even without Haliburton. And so those got to get distributed. So I'm hoping that Nesmith might be a 1.1 assist type person when Haliburton's playing and is available, but one of those Haliburton assists will come from Nesmith.
I saw Nick was talking about Ben Mathurin, 20 plus points.
20 plus points, plus 135.
We don't have
good lately. We don't have value. I was looking at that. His line wasn't out earlier, but. So 20 plus 135. That's not terrible value, especially the last game he really stepped up. He's hit it in 4 of his last 6 games, and so plus 135 I think is pretty good value.
Yeah, that's probably what we have. We have projected for 17. That's basically the same number even when you factor the line.
How many minutes? So 27 minutes. Yeah. So if he gets 30 minutes, like he should get around there. So we'll see what his minutes are like without Haliburton. But then again, Haliburton being out and losing his assist could create fewer open opportunities for Mathurin. So we'll see. But I still like plus 135 there.
Right. Yeah. I can't find it now, but somebody was saying how I think Trey Jones on Prize. Yeah, Trey Jones is at 7 on Prize Picks and it's the most popular NBA pick right now. People are catching on here.
That's crazy. I got an underdog at 7.5 this morning, so I think it's at 7 now. So I like the value there.
All right, let's move on to another game here. Going to Sacramento, going to Charlotte. Keegan Murray here, his over points.
Yeah, we don't have value on this play in terms of the Sims. We have him right around 14.5 points, but he's coming off a huge game. And in the 4 games where Sacramento has played without any rest, he's averaging over 17 points. So it's more playing the young guy who has healthy legs, where Fox and Sabonis might take it a little easy on the back-to-back. So I really like this opportunity for Murray. And like Big Cheesy said, he's on fire. He is incredibly streaky, and he's on a good streak right now. So I like playing him when he's hot. I played over 2 threes yesterday, and he hit 5 of them. So I like playing players that are good at me, and especially in the back-to-back.
Yeah, we have a nice list. We have a hit list, but we also have a nice list. And he's All right, let's look at a question in the chat here before we get to some more props. Asking about Poole and his threes, considering how great Indiana is at stopping the 3. Do we have any value on anyone, or is it too scary?
Jordan Poole. I mean, what's the line for 2? Let me check on.
It's probably 2.5 threes. Oh, I'd assume. Maybe.
Made threes.
It's confusing. Like it's players made threes and then players threes attempted. So you have to go to
and I don't know my alphabet. I can't look at alphabetically. All right, let's see what we got here.
I see some in the chats on Keegan Murray 14.5 points as well. Little lock agreement there.
So Jordan Poole's 3 line is over 1.5 at minus 185, under 2.5 at minus 194. So we have no value because we're right at 2. So we'd be right agreeing with a heavy juiced under or heavy juiced over.
Or you can get over 2.5 at plus 148. Seems like better value, but not what we have projected. Let's move away from a player prop here, but we're going to go to Minnesota, headed to Boston. You like the over here?
Yeah, I didn't have a strong play. But we thought the over would happen in the Orlando game, but Orlando couldn't score against Minnesota. So I like the fact that, again, for the season, as good as Minnesota's defense is at home, they do allow 8 more points on the road at 111. Boston averages 4 more points at home. They do on the road 123. Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis are game time decisions. If they're out or one of them out, that could significantly hurt their either interior defense or perimeter defense. And it's only 2 games, but on back-to-backs, Minnesota overs are 2-0 this year.
Mm-hmm. Someone in the chat earlier was asking about the T-Wolves to cover the 9. If we think that's possible, it looks like our projections aren't really.
We have 9, a little over. We have Boston by a little over 9, but so nothing. We wouldn't have value there. But if again, Porzingis and Holiday are out, that'll change.
Fair. All right, let's move on to another game. We got 2 props here going to Oklahoma City, going to Miami. Josh Giddey, we're going back to over 10.5 rebounds and assists.
Yeah, I had a Giddey play a few weeks ago, and he was cruising right along until he got hurt, and he missed by half. But I think that I thought our model has him at 12, and Miami has no Jimmy Butler. Kyle Lowry and Caleb Martman might be out too. They're more doubtful than game time decisions. So it's 3 key perimeter defenders. He's coming off a couple big games, 15 and 13. Overs on a 7-2 streak. No, actually, I had it wrong. Overs on a 5-1 streak. And then when OKC is a road favorite by 4 or more, the over is 7-2 for Giddey. So I like when he's the bet on the better team, playing on the road, he gets the minutes.
Mm-hmm. I saw a question that I skipped over this game, but Clint Capella, while we're in the model, he's minus 115 to record a double-double here.
We haven't projected for a double-double, but so I think we have him break 10 with 10 rebounds, 12 points, 10 rebounds, something like that, just right around the double-double. I was looking at this earlier. All right, 12 and 11. So we have good value there.
Okay.
Yeah, we got value on his points, rebounds, and assists. That means probably have good value on his double-double.
Yeah, I was scared because he only had 4 points last game, but I think I might get more that he only had 4 points last game.
One question, with Embiid out, do you think he may not play as many minutes?
That's what I was scared about because Philly's going to go small. So they might just try to have Maxey shoot a ton, and he could be a mismatch, Capella. But maybe they try to get Capella a lot of looks early and without Embiid. So it could go. It's 50-50. That's what.
A little
right there.
Internal conversation about Sadiq Bey and his increased rebounding rate this year. Do you think there's value here?
I know I was looking at that. His rebound line 6.5. I don't mind that.
We have him at 7.4, which seems like pretty good value.
So there's some value there. I don't mind that.
If he plays more minutes, with Philly being more wing oriented.
Yeah, I think he's going to get plenty of minutes today, so I don't mind that at all. We have solid.
I could see this being a big Toby night.
Yeah.
Not that he has a lot of them. I just have gut feelings about when they happen. All right, let's go back.
20, so we're right there.
Yeah. Let's go back to that OKC Miami game. One more prop we have here. Back to Lou Dort. Risky move.
So I was looking at his game log in his career against Miami. He's 4-1 scoring double digits. And sometimes you have to be careful when players play at Miami for obvious reasons that I won't mention. But I like this over, especially that he didn't hit double digits last game. I think he scored double digits in I think he's 16-11 in his last 27 games. So I think there's good value at 9.5. Whenever it's below 10, I like to take it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to Houston heading to Chicago. Chicago, you can still probably shop around and get 3.5. Some books have moved it to 4, but we make this a 10-point game here.
Yeah, just the road home splits are going to rely at. Chicago is getting healthy. They're 11-9 against the spread at home. Houston is just 6-7 on the road against the spread versus an awesome 14-6 at home. So it comes down to 3-point percentage. Chicago's defensive 3-point percentage is much better at home. They allow just 35% versus 39 on the road. And I'm hoping that Zach LaVine, who's not known as a great perimeter defender, doesn't just loaf. And then Houston shoots just 34% on the road from 3. and versus 39 at home. So I'm just going to go on that Houston's got to make 1 to 2 fewer threes than the odds makers expect.
Fair.
Chicago's also held 4 of the last 8 opponents to under 30% 3-point shooting.
Mm-hmm. Let's head over to Utah hosting Denver tonight. And you like Utah to cover as home dogs. They've been playing pretty well recently. Yeah,
they just pretty easily beat both Milwaukee and Philadelphia on the road. I like the fact that, Denver, going back to their last year, they're obviously championship year. They're really like a point. They're barely a +1 point differential this season. They were -1 last season, and they're just barely over 500, 36-33 straight up. And the Jazz have a lot of size and skilled size, I say too, but they have a lot of size to match up with Denver's size. And that's one reason why I like Utah to cover 7.
Yeah, I was looking at Jokic's prop line in this piece. It's 24.5. You don't really see his line that low. You usually see 27.5, but it's that low because he's coming off a 4-point game. But going back to last season, I was looking at the regular season after he scores double digits. I think he's hit over 24.5 5 of the 6 games. So I don't mind an overplay on Jokic just because he decided just to pass the ball last game. And sometimes after he just decides to pass the ball, he takes over scoring the next game.
These are other teams with notable 3-point percentage splits, with Denver shooting 3 percentage points lower on the road and Utah allowing 4% lower at home. So that's what's driving the model.
I see. All right, one more prop to get to, and we do have some college basketball to get to. I saw some chat or questions in the chat about that I saved for after the NBA, but one more prop here. Siakam, over 30.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah, so the coach was obviously furious about last night's game, so maybe they'll give the Raptors a few calls today. We'll see. But I like the fact that, Toronto's a pretty heavy dog. They're obviously playing on a back-to-back, but there's no travel being in LA. His over is 9-1 his last 10, 16-4 the last 20. He's always on the trading block, it seems like, so they'll want to feature him. And check to make sure that when they are heavy underdogs that he doesn't sit. So the over is 20-7 when the Raptors, in the last 27 games where the Raptors were +3 or more underdogs, and he's averaging 37 minutes. So I think that I'm hoping that, even if they're down big, Siakam will get, plenty still play in the game and get his 20 and 8.
That's all you can ask for them to just stay in the game. Who was it last night that we bet on the Knicks game? They ended up blowing out.
Yeah, we got Hartenstein rebounds.
Yeah, I took his.
Yeah. He got his rebounds. I didn't get his points. He took 1 shot. He had 5 points on 1 shot. But I should have played the points, rebounds, and assists because that hit. And
the points and assists didn't hit.
But the points, rebounds, and assists hit because he had 14 rebounds.
Yeah, that was nuts. All right, let's move on quick to Jake has 2 college props for us, and I see some questions in the chat about college as well. We'll go to Mississippi State here first with Cameron Matthews.
Yeah, so I'm surprised that this line's 8.5 because Tolu Smith is back for Mississippi State, and he's going to be a better matchup against Adu for Tennessee. I think in Matthews' 4 games against Tennessee, he's averaging 4 career points against them. We have him projected for 7 or less, but his number is high because he was really hot to start the season, but that was with Smith, but without Smith playing. With Smith playing, I think he's going to have less opportunities to shoot the ball, and he's more of a rebounding small forward, power forward type. He doesn't take a ton of shots.
All right, let's head over to Clemson here with PJ Hall over 1.5 turnovers.
Yeah, so this I used Steven's the spread that Steven put into the prop analysis, and in games that Clemson is +5 or -5 on the spread, so within 5 points, the over 1.5 turnovers is 17-4. So that's some pretty good value. It's 2-0 in his career and in the last 2 years against Virginia Tech. So both times he played against Virginia Tech, he had multiple turnovers. I think it's around 65% on hitting on the road. So all those stats leading towards the over. We have projected for 1.8. Yeah, 1.8 all. So just the 17-4 using the spread analysis makes me really like to play.
It's looking pretty good so far. The guinea pig model. All right, one question I saw in the chat earlier about Drake, 2-point favorites against Indiana State. If we had any thoughts on that.
I know a lot of people in the chat also were on Indiana State in this game, so there's a little head-to-head battle here. This one scares me. I think Indiana State's the better team, but Drake's at home here. We have slight lean on Drake, but I don't love it. It's all depends on Tucker DeVries how he's playing. If he's shooting the ball well, Drake's going to be playing well. If he struggles, the whole team struggles, it seems. So I think Indiana State's probably the better team. And we're talking about we're all going to pick our one Cinderella team. And Indiana State might be a good Cinderella team to choose because they're a pretty well-built team altogether.
Yeah.
I saw
these. Model's going to love a team that's combined 26-1 the last 2 years at home.
Yeah, and we love them from 2 years ago because I think they went like 30-3 against the spread 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So I know we loved them last year because of that.
When the model falls in love, it falls hard.
Yeah, we love Houston. So
hate Kansas, love Houston.
Yeah, hate Kansas. I had to downgrade UCF today against Kansas. I think Kansas should beat them, but we still hate Kansas, and we love Houston. So,
all right. Well, our Cinderella team will come soon enough. We could spin a wheel on it too. I saw these two girls on TikTok that were like, "We don't know anything about the NFL. We're just going to spin a wheel and pick a team and ride with it the rest of our lives." And they ended up with Bills Mafia, which is definitely could have been the worst place to be. All right. Anyway, here's the recap screen. Lots that we covered today. Definitely take a screenshot or watch this episode back. If you have any other questions, of course, always reach out to us on Twitter. Tomorrow, we'll keep picking away at these wildcard round games because the player props are all out, which is huge to get early value this week. So bring your questions tomorrow. Start brainstorming, and we'll see you guys then.